Governor, first and foremost, let's talk about the devastating floods that struck central Texas over July 4th weekend. The news reports have shown the utter disaster and devastation that it was caused by the walls of water that ripped through the towns, including Hunt, Georgetown, and of course, Kerrville. Can you give us an update on the rescue and recovery efforts and describe how all these different agencies and organizations have come together to help their fellow Texans in their time of need?
Well, thank you. And come together is exactly what has happened. But first, you all have seen the devastation, whether you were there in person or you've seen it on TV, whatever the case may be. This is the worst flooding event, I think, in the history of the state of Texas, and something that is almost unbelievable. As sheriffs, you all probably all deal with flash flood warnings in one form or another. It doesn't matter if you're in the Rio Grande Valley or up in the Panhandle. It could be in East Texas or out in West Texas. There have been flash flood warnings in each of those regions just this year alone. So when you hear a flash flood warning, even a dangerous, life-threatening flash flood warning, how high do you think that's going to be? 5 feet? 10 feet? Maybe even 20 feet. If the water had risen 20 feet, I don't think any of those children in that Camp Mystic would have been harmed in any way. Because the water rose, by some estimates, about 30 feet, which looks like it may be the height of this roof in this room, it led to a massive tidal wave, tsunami wave of water that rushed through that little canyon of the Guadalupe River. And that's what caused such carnage, such devastation, and took so many lives. More than 100 Texans have already lost their life because of the flood. There's more than 100 who are still missing. Go back to Hurricane Harvey, what I think was the worst storm that we had before this. There have been far more people lose their life because of this flooding incident than those who lost their lives in Hurricane Harvey. It's just horrendous. That said, circling back to your question, as much of a tragedy as it has been, it's also been a scene of heroism every single day. Despite those who have lost their lives, or even more than that, who had their lives saved by people who went into danger to literally rescue and pull out of rushing waters those who were on the verge of losing their life. It includes so many people. You mentioned maybe some first responders. Before we get to first responders, I want to talk for a second just about the camp counselors. 18-year-old girls who went to the rescues, and they were trained about what to do to make sure they were going to get some children out of harm's way. In the cabins that were closest to the water, some of the counselors at Camp Mystic were able to march 8-year-old girls up a mountainside in heavy rain and storms and thunder and lightning to ensure they got to a place of safety. Other counselors were literally pulling little girls out of cabins and out of compromised situations. And then within a matter of hours, there were helicopter rescues, whether it were done by the Coast Guard, by Texas Department of Public Safety, by the Texas National Guard, by local operations. Everybody was involved in one way or the other. And then, of course, all of our broad-based emergency first responders, including our sheriffs, including local police, local firefighters, swiftwater rescue teams, all of them across the board. It could be water rescues with craft on water itself. It could be literally plucking people out of trees that were clinging to that tree for their life. It could be people who were stuck in compromised situations. It could be people who were in vehicles that got caught up in the water and they were rescued out of their vehicles. There's countless different ways in which people were rescued. Hundreds of lives were saved by emergency responders in just the first 24 hours of that vicious storm, and more as the days went on. Someone who has done an extraordinary job. I mentioned it moments ago briefly. But Sheriff Letha, Kerr County Sheriff Letha, has really been an example to the entire country. He's worth applauding.